Morning, everybody. Welcome to my channel. It's 8:33 a.m., August 14th. Yesterday, the markets broke out. Broke out big time off that open. It was just a straight shot up. Then they had a very violent pullback. Specifically, ES almost went back to the open and then just got bought up again. Tech led the show yesterday. So NASDAQ didn't have the pullback as deep as the ES. Okay. Currently, I just saw the NASDAQ broke yesterday's highs, trying to gap up here. So I know retail sales came out this morning at 8:30, and I just think this market's bullish. You can't really say we're at all-time highs. We're not at all-time highs in the ES right now. NASDAQ is got a ways to go, but if this continues, then the NASDAQ could push farther. So we have to see. Yesterday I did not have any trades. I was eyeing a long in the NASDAQ when it pulled back. Pulled back to VWAP, and it took back VWAP. Pulled back to it. I was very close to going long, and I didn't like what I was seeing in the ES. So I'm so close to doing that, and of course it worked. Hence, I wanted to be low on Nasdaq because it was the stronger market, and the semis were on fire. So, yeah, that's basically the only opportunity I was really looking at. And then when that went, I just pretty much just said, you know what, that was probably my opportunity. So that's it for now. For today, we have Michigan consumer sentiment at 10 a.m. This August volume is pretty paltry, pretty bad. Okay, let's just get right into it. Welcome to my channel. My name is Steve Gonzalez. I use market profile and volume profile to find structure markets, along supply and demand. Gamma exposure levels, the most traded price of the year, the month, the week, and the previous day. That is my edge where I come up with my game plans. Now, once that market opens up, I use my market internals to tell me where money flows are going off the open, along with a little, just tiny bit of ICT, anchored VWAP, weekly expected indicator that I give away for free for Thinkorswim on my Discord, along with gamma flip points, weekly and monthly gamma flip points, very important levels that I give away from my Discord as well, all wrapped up basically in a bow is my own proprietary trading system. Okay, now hopefully you subscribe to my channel. I do this every morning. Give you the market story, the market news, technical analysis, and always give you the long and short trade scenarios and the Nasdaq and ES futures later on in the stream. Now, if you want more in-depth coverage, you're going to join me in my Discord. Okay, that's Confluence Trading. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link, and sign up. What are you waiting for? Let me be your indicator. Let me be your indicator. All right, let's go to the future watch list here. Okay, hold on a second. Why didn't that work? All right, here we go. Futures watch list. Gold. Gold is up 0.34, silver's up 0.30, Nasdaq's up 0.27, crude is up 0.17, ES up 0.09, pretty much flat. Russell flat, 30-year bonds down 0.14, down 1.4. This is a very muted market. 10-year yield down 0.17, dollar down 0.39, Ethereum down 0.61, VIX down 0.7, and Bitcoin is down 1%. Interesting. Bitcoin just can't get out of its way. Doesn't know what it wants to do. Mag 7 plus. Micron's up 3.10%. Intel's up 0.86, Tesla's up 0.56, AMD up over 0.5%. Lagging. Netflix down 0.45. Netflix had a little run lately. I saw Bill Ackman's back into Netflix. Coinbase down 0.88. That's a Bitcoin proxy. Top sector stocks here. Uber up 1.87. NEM mining stock up 1.37. Exxon up 0.37. Qualcomm up 0.37. Who's lagging? Palantir down 0.29. GE Vernova down 0.33, and Oracle down 0.33. Sectors. Energy is your leader, up 0.25, followed by technology up 0.21. They don't usually go hand in hand, but they are this morning. Your laggard is healthcare, which is barely down. It's a very muted market today. Going to the economic calendar. Let's look at that together. Retail sales came out, and I don't know, Fed Venable. I've never seen that before. I'm not even sure if I'm saying the name right. At 9 a.m. Michigan consumer sentiment. Okay. Let's see, consensus 54.5, previous 55.2, so expecting it to go down. So that's at 10 a.m. That generally does move markets. So we will have to see how that pans out. Okay. What's in the news? I did see this European software shares jump on report of Silver Lake's Workday takeover. I saw that. We can get into other news here, but let's just look at the juice retail sales. Okay, it says traders pair wages on more than one Fed rate hike by mid 2027. Remember, I forgot to talk about this. The PPI was cooler than expected. Probably the catalyst yesterday for us to break out. Trump today. Let's see here today. President delivers remarks in Garden City, New York, 3 p.m. I hope to not even be in this market at all at 3 p.m. I should not be on Friday. What else did Juice have for us? Nothing really. Nothing really. Went over the economic calendar. Let's go to some news. Exclusive. Apple trains its own AI model for China market with Alibaba's support. Alphabet's SpaceX bet grows 100-fold over a decade to 94 billion. Wow. Applied Materials, they had earnings slips as investors seek faster growth after stellar run. It says cooler inflation data may force Washington's divided Fed to hold the line on rates. Tyson Foods will close or sell 3 U.S. beef facilities as industry struggles. Let's see here. Wall Street futures were subdued a day after the S&P 500 climbed to an all-time high as markets weighed the latest developments in the Middle East. Oil prices rose modestly after the United States threatened an indefinite naval blockade of Iran, raising fears of disruptions to crude exports from the region. Separately, European shares fell slightly and were on track to snap a 4-week winning streak as renewed geopolitical tensions offset support from a resilient earnings season. In Asia, Japan's Nikkei ended higher, extending its weekly advance. Okay, meanwhile, the yen has fallen about 0.9 this week against the dollar as the impact of U.S. and Japanese intervention faded, leaving traders wagering that either rate hikes or another round of official buying would be needed to stem the decline. All right, I'm looking at the South Korean market is up today. Did I mention that? The Kospi. We talked about Applied Materials. Just want to see if there's anything in here that I'm like, okay. It's like Target. Jeffries raised his target price to 177 from 161, expecting the company's new management to be a catalyst for positive change within the firm. Alrighty. I think we can move on. Let's look at the Fed Watch tool real quick. Let's look at that. And let's see where we're at here. So current rates are at 3.5, 3.75, right? Notice a month ago, rate hike was 50%. It keeps falling. Currently only at 28%. Okay? So the rate hike for the next meeting now has diminished. Cooling PPI and CPI. Okay? Look at the rise in staying the same, up to a 71% chance of no rate hike. Okay? Interesting, right? Let's look at some probabilities here. Let's see for the next meeting. Okay, there's still chance for a hike in December. So the odds of a hike are more likely still. So we'll see. We'll have to see. You never know. Okay. Now, let's look at some breath readings here. All right. Well, that improved. 70%, let's call it 69% of stocks above the 20-day moving average. Now, let's see the 50. 69%, the same. Let's look at the bullish percent indexes now. This market, like I said, market could stay frothy. It doesn't have to pull back. 71% on buy signals and the SPX. Let's see the NDX. 76% on buy signals. You can see we haven't been up at these levels. What is this? This is 2025 in a while. Okay. Doesn't mean we can't continue pushing. Remember, and you know what I could say is either we consolidate here, pull back a little bit, and then make a move higher. I don't know. All right, let's just look at the technology sector. That is at 83% on buy signals. Okay. Like I said, this is either consolidation or you're going to get a little pullback. Now, notice last week we did get a little pullback in technology. We did. Okay. But this is just an overall market move. It really is. It really is because financials are still like pretty frothy. Healthcare is also pretty frothy. Everything's moving. You got the overall breadth move here. Even energy is at 57% buy signal. Okay. That's middling, but like I just looked at XLE and it's made a nice move. Right, you just look at XLE real quick. Look at that. That's a pretty nice move from 52 to 61. Okay. So underneath, even though crude is not shooting straight up, I mean, it is at 81, but this is pretty interesting. Okay. But everything else is pretty moving. There's not something that's very, very weak. Maybe utilities, I think I saw. Yeah, utilities. Okay. So that's what's going on there. Now we're going to go into the market internals. Now, name of the game yesterday. Look at that. All top 4 sectors green. Communications, tech, right? Semis, have to look at that. That's interesting. That I'm looking at semiconductors. They must have lost a ton of steam at the end of the day or something. And I'm looking at it and it did. Interesting. Because like semiconductors were up like very, very strong at one point yesterday, over 1.8%, almost 2%, as I recall. So, and I'm looking at some of these charts and the end of the day. Okay. I'm just mentioning that because I'm looking at internals and I'm like, wow, tech really like was strong. But then I'm looking at my numbers off the open. Here, let me just show you that so you guys understand why I'm being like, whoa, I didn't realize that. Off the open, this is what I look at to see where money flows are going off the open. Communications fared the strongest, but look at semis. Only 0.47 at the end of towards the end of the day. That lost a ton at the end of the day. A ton. That must have meant like they were just selling off. And I'm looking at some of the stocks that I look at, and they did. I'm looking at Micron. I'm looking at Broadcom. Looking at AMD. Big sell-off. Some of the semis towards the end. Okay. But bottom line, this was just strong all day. Let me here. Okay, so let me make this correct here. Okay. So this is from the open. Look at that big and then all of a sudden it was like, whoa, we're really pulling back. And it was just bought up. Kind of just had a snail kind of move back up, right? Nasdaq was a little different, actually broke the highs again. Okay, but just this is when semis were that strong at one point, in the NASDAQ. I think once they broke the high a day, people got out of semis a little bit, but you just don't really fight the market. This was pretty strong. If I zoom out, this level, we haven't been that all week. We were not negative at all. Okay, so pretty nice day for the bulls. That pullback was very interesting. Okay, let's get to the dailies now. Now, I mean, was this the most monstrous breakout in the world? Looking at the daily chart, I mean, it was good. Look at that. We did break out and close above last week's highs, setting a new all-time high. There's last week's close, so we're positive on the week. 9 EMA daily has still not been touched. Okay. So, where are we now? 778 80s. We're right here. We're pretty much at yesterday's close. Okay. Still bullish. I've been saying it all week, right? This is bullish. This is bullish. So, yeah. Let's look at futures. Just a big balance area, and you finally pushed up, holding last week's highs. Okay, holding last week's highs. Now you have a daily demand here. So pullbacks back to the 77.93s and 7800s probably viable if we pull back. Okay, Qs. I did mark off a daily demand here in the Qs. We did finally break this daily supply zone. Finally, it broke and I took it off my chart. And you can see we went up and closed at the previous month's highs. This level. So it's pretty bullish. Okay. Now you have a daily demand zone here in the Qs. So a pullback to like the 727s, if we get one, it's probably viable. Okay. Almost hit the trend line as well. This downtrend line that's there, almost hit it in the Qs. Where are we now? 734.15. You're literally at the highs of yesterday. Okay. So let's look at Qs. Notice this supply zone finally taken out. Now we have another daily supply that we're going to get into. Okay. So there's last month's highs in futures. Okay. It's probably where we're headed. Expect, let's see, this starts at 303.41. So just be cognizant of that level. Okay. This is a daily supply zone. You've seen this before multiple times. They are not easy to cut through. I'm not saying we can't rush up to here, but it's probably not going to have the easiest time. We'll see. Okay. We'll just have to see. All right. Let's move on. We'll look at real quickly the hourly chart. Just real quick. I don't think there's much time needed to be spent here. Okay. And you can just see. All right. Just want to make sure this marker worked. All right. Yesterday. What a move. What a move. Ultimate balance here, right? Remember, big moves happen from ultimate balance. Big move. Oof. All the way up to here. Oh, man. And I was like, this is crazy. And then all of a sudden, whoop, came all the way back to basically like at the breakout level. And then it moseyed out. And then look, we consolidated and now we're pushing higher. Okay. Most traded price of yesterday's right here. Last week's highs is 78.20. We're holding last week's highs. I would be, I guess I'd be shocked if we fall below that level. We tried right here and got bought up. So I'm probably right now going to trade the NASDAQ off the bat. I think the ES will be so snaily. Um, so that's your ES. I mean, it's just pretty simple to look at, right? That's why I said I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this. Look at the balance in the NASDAQ. Big candle, but notice the shallow pullback. And guess what? We just took out yesterday's highs. That's why we're at yesterday's highs. But remember, I talked about the overhead supply, I just said, right? We're still technically in supply. We're working it off. We're working it off. And then you start a major one, like I just said. Okay. So if let's go into like a 4 hour. Okay. Here's the 4 hour. Notice this supply we're still in, but then we start the major supply. Okay, let's just call it 303. Like I was just telling you guys before, that is not much poor structure there. Yes, we can come into it. Okay, there's just a lot of supply. Okay, so maybe we can definitely push with momentum up there. You look across, we finally did break that 330,000 level. 37, this key resistance was 30072. We broke it. So that's last week's highs around. Okay, look at that. That's the level you want to hold to get the farther movement. Okay, so let me go back to the hourly chart. Alrighty. And that will be the hourlies. Now we're going to go right into market profile, volume profile. Now this ES is pretty, not, the volume is disgusting. And you could see it right here. Let me bring this down. That is 11-point range. That is pretty gross. We are still in supply from yesterday. It's not a strong one, I would have to say. There's some poor structure inside of it. Okay. So, look at this big day, right? So, things you want to mark off right off the bat, and we'll get right into this. Is actually, let's put this up first. This is your market profile and volume profile analysis. Okay. And then we're going to get straight into scenarios here. Long and short trade scenarios in the ES here. Okay. So, I'm going to mark off the 78.12 is the 50% retracement of yesterday. We broke that yesterday, right? Now we have a couple demand zones here. Okay, those demand zones from 78.24 to 78.20. And we have 78.19 down to 78.10. Okay. And now let's break out the session. Very small session. I mean, this is like I said, the volume is very low. Okay. This is a very small range. I mean, yesterday's range was 52 points. This is 11. Hopefully I can get a trade earlier on with the early volume. Okay. So, pretty simple. You have an equal low right here on 78. It's called 20. That also happens to be last week's highs. That's all really we're going to look at here. Not all we're going to look at, but that's very important and it's very easy. So all I can say is this would be a gift. Let's say we move up and then we come back through, break that equal low into demand. That's last week's highs. And if you come back and retest the 78.22s about, yeah, you're going to go long. Okay. You're going to target the 78.38, yesterday's highs, which is all-time highs. And then who knows how high we can go into the weekend. Maybe we trend back up. We have a trend continuation day. We have a breakout. We have continuation from the breakout. Okay. We'll see. I think it's highly likely. Now, there's always a shot we can just consolidate Okay, so that's one long. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, if we just real quickly whoop came down to the 50% retracement here, 78.12s, held the 78.10s, same thing, boom, higher low, you go long, target 78.38s and see how high it can go. Now, there's also a chance that you just fire off, break all-time highs, and then I'd need to see some acceptance up here, acceptance, and then one pullback to go long. That is my least favorite scenario. All right, shorts. I'm probably not going to be too hot on a short today, even though it always feels like you're smart when you're shorting, but we're at all-time highs. Generally doesn't, the momentum's with bulls. It's been with bulls. Okay. So I'm going to put scenarios here. I just don't like them a ton. They could work. Now, what could work? Big push up, all-time highs, come back into yesterday's range, lower high. You target those overnight lows, 78.20s, and see if you can catch down to the 78.10s. Okay. I think that's my only short I like. Not, I don't even like it, put it that way. Yes, you can come down here and try a short. I just think people are going to buy those dips, and I think it's going to be a tough day for shorts. Okay. All right, that's it for the ES. Let's go to the NASDAQ. Look at the NASDAQ. 155-point range in the overnights, not 11. Okay. And we can see all the overhead supply. Okay. We're still working off the supply zone we're in now. Then we start a major one at 303s. So, but this is really setting up nice. Look at that nice poor high. That's 30 minute. Let's go break it out. 3 30-minute equal highs. That's a breakout point. Now, this could break right while I'm talking. I would love for it to go pull back. Boy, would I love that. Remember, I'm probably trading the NASDAQ today, so I would absolutely love for this to stay like that. Absolutely love it. Okay. So, breaking out the session. This looks more like a little more natural price action. We have a couple levels to talk about here. The 302.08s, that's yesterday's most traded price, happens to be yesterday's close. Okay, that happens to line up with a demand zone. That demand zone is 302.36 to 302.06. We have another demand zone, 301.84 down to 301.28. And that overnight low is also poor, which has an equal low. Yesterday's midpoint, 30068. Lines up. This is the 50% retracement of yesterday with last week's highs. From that level, I would say it's all long territory. Okay. Now, as far as the long scenarios, let's get into it. Okay, this is your NASDAQ long or short trade scenarios. Okay. So this high 302.80s, that is a target that's gonna break. It's going to. It might do it in front of me. I hope it does not. So in this scenario, what would I like to see? Violent pullback. You have an equal low here too at the 302.10s. That is yesterday's most traded price and the close. Fine. Take it out. Recover it. 302.08. You go long. You attack the 302.80s. See if you can hit the 303s. Now you might get some resistance here. It's a major supply. You might not. I don't know. With early volume, you could push up a little bit. Okay. Now another pullback. Okay. Pull back again. Boom. Take out that equal low in the overnights, the 301.24s. That's fine. I'd like this to be quick. Do you still have a bullish for value gap starting around 301? Now, if we come down here to the midpoint of yesterday, 50% retracement, last week's highs, and you hold, retest the 30073s, that's a long. Target 302.80s and see how high you can go. Okay. Now, again, you could consolidate, push up in here. I'd like a nice move up, hold, 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 a pullback to see if I can go long and target higher up, maybe 304 and a half. Now, like I said, I would prefer not to have that trade because those are harder. Those are harder to do. Shorts. Boy, there is shorts that could always happen, right? Remember, I just gave you pullback, so that could be shorts. All right. Remember, I am not a fan of shorts today much. Okay, this is probably going to break in front of our face. So the first test here that is major supply, like let's say if we drive up, boom, and you get a rejection quick back into yesterday's range with a lower high, that's your shot. You target 302.08s, then you target overnight lows, 301.204s, then you have a bullish for value gap. All right. If this market really has outflows, I mean, we could really get nasty. There's not much volume here. Look at that. There is not much volume. Okay. I would say target 373 last week's. I really don't think we're going to take all of this out unless some big catalyst comes. And that's it. I don't really like too many shorts right now off the bat. I just don't like it. Okay. So what's the wrap up here? ES, small range. Okay. 78.20s is key level. 78.12s is your 50% retracement. Just got a bullish bias. That's all, right? We just went over the NASDAQ, like I said, a couple of key levels, 302.08s, 301.24s, and a 300.68s. I just think this is bullish, okay? You have major supply above. You do. Momentum could have to carry through it, and I think you might get a push up and then a pullback. We have to see, okay? Now, remember, it's Friday, low volume, August, okay? That's why I'm probably going to trade the NASDAQ today. Okay, so that's it for me. Smash the like button if you enjoyed that analysis. All right. That would mean a lot to me. Okay, now hopefully, you join me every day. Subscribe, set that alert. Give you the market story, economic calendar, the news, technical analysis, and I just gave you the long and short trade scenarios in the NASDAQ and the ES futures. Okay. If you want more in-depth coverage, you're going to join my Discord, Confluence Trading. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link, and sign up. What are you waiting for? Let me be your indicator. Let me be your indicator. Okay? I will not steer you wrong. Now, in the meantime, just to show you guys real quick, the NASDAQ did break that poor high. Right there. That's expected. Okay? Let's see what happens after this. Okay? So, we have our plan. I have my process. I'm going to follow it. Remember, we're all risk managers. All right? That's the name of the game, is risk management. Mental capital management. Okay? Mental capital management. Now, this past 3 or 4 weeks for myself has been challenging, even though I'm not really losing. I'm having flat week to a little green week to a very small red week to right now I'm flat for the week. And it's telling me something that, because I'm following my process, right? It's telling me, oh, you're not just seeing a lot of trades. Now, don't get me wrong. There's little things that, like, I was in a trade, it would have worked. There's little things like, oh, I had a trade that I was going to do yesterday that would have worked, right? That doesn't matter. It wasn't fully in my model of how I'd like to get in, right? I'm honoring my system, right? And what's telling me right now, and what it should tell me, August is low volume, and the opportunities, the markets, low volume. Like that's why that breakout was like that yesterday. We have low volume, right? So, the ebbs and the flows of trading, basically, right? Like July for me, I was slightly green, slightly green. And now August, I am flat right now. Last week I was flat. I was flat because I had all break-even trades. This week, I have more trades than I did last week, but I'm flat. So it's telling me, and I'm honoring my system. And it's nice to honor your system because then you have the data, right? I have the data. All right, August. Should I kill August? Should I be killing it? I mean, and other things, maybe portfolio stuff, I'm making money, you know. Um, but as far as day trading, it's telling me, it's giving me the data back. There isn't a lot of setups. I'm not going to force things. I know once September hits, it should liven up. And then I'm really going to see, right? Because there was a point in time for my trading that I was positive every week. Every week was like, all right, cool, another great week. And I'm trading better now. It's so weird. I'm trading better than I was then, but I'm not getting the results, right? But I'm following my system. And I'm telling you right now, in the past, your boy would have veered off because I'd been like, oh, I'm flat again. I got to change something. And I would change something because I'm trying to optimize. That's what I would try to do always. Optimize, optimize, optimize. I'm not doing that this time. I'm just going, you know what? I know I'm going to hit a streak when the market, I see more of what I like. Or when it becomes like, oh, look at that. I'm getting more of what I like. I know what's going to happen. It's not easy to sit in it, but I'm sitting in it. All right. Now, everybody, enough of my little diatribe there. I hope everybody has a great weekend. Now, hopefully, I see everybody in my Discord today. If I don't see you in my Discord, I'll see everybody Monday morning, probably for another low volume week. Okay, next week. Okay, remember Michigan Consumer Sentiment at 10 a.m. All right, everybody have a great day, and I'll see everybody